Hey guys, welcome to Scald. Another video. We're making a new series. This is going to be all the bosses listed from our worst picks to the best picks. Joining with me for this series is Gabe.
Hey, hello.
Yeah. So we're going to do this. We're going to start at 91. There are 91 bosses in this game, and we're going to go from the worst of the worst to the best. Um,
Yep.
And this is, again, our picks. We're veterans of the game, and between the two of us, we have multiple hundreds and thousands of hours into each of these games. Um, so we're more qualified than most to, talk about them and discuss them.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a,
And still remember, it's just opinions.
yeah, it's just opinions.
Yeah.
We are both open and willing to discussion on some of these bosses, and we understand that our choices are not going to be the same as yours.
Yeah.
Despite that, we did take our list of bosses through a lot of different criteria, like the boss itself, the boss fight, how hard it is, how well it fits into the Souls theme, how fair it is. Also things like lore, location, how hard they are to get to.
Yeah.
Things like that, and design as well. So, a lot of things. And something I also try to incorporate is how I know other people feel about them.
Yeah, popular opinion.
Because that matters a lot when it comes to Souls.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
And we
yeah.
tried to keep nostalgia out of it from Dark Souls.
Yeah.
1. There's a lot of people who will say the bosses from like other Dark Souls are horrible because it's not one. Which,
we tried to keep them all even.
yeah.
So we're starting this list off with Lud and Zalen, the King's Pets. Now this list,
It's at number 82.
now this list, as it's the first one and it's the worst of the worst, we're actually starting with the best of the worst and working towards the worst to keep it a little bit
Yeah.
more interesting. So Lud and Zalen, I can't speak, are at the top of the list, which isn't really saying much.
Nah. There's multiple bad things about them. First,
Many.
me, being the run-up.
Yeah, the run-up, this area that they're in is mostly agreed upon the worst area in any of the Souls games. Worse than,
Yeah.
I don't know, Blight Town or basically
Yeah.
anyone that I can think of. The visibility's bad, and of
yeah.
course the screw the reindeer.
Another thing with these, they're not fun soloing. It's somewhat fun with multiple people, but like at the same time, it's still not.
Yeah. Soloing them is very close to impossible, especially if you're soloing the entire area before it as well, and you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah. This is definitely a boss you're gonna die to a few times your first run through.
And it's also one of the bosses due to the area that frustrates you when you die to it.
Yeah,
So-
it's such a long run.
It just very much discourages actually playing against them.
Yeah. Another part of them that it can be seen as good or bad, but I personally don't like it. It's just kind of a blatant copy of Alva. Ava, but it makes sense lore-wise because it's the king's other two pets. But my least favorite thing about this fight has to be the random weapon deterioration they have.
Yeah, we didn't really realize that it was all that bad before recording, and then we realized that hey, our weapons are just totally just getting destroyed by these cats. It doesn't really make any sense.
No.
So not very clever boss implementation, bad area, just another reskin of a better boss. So
Yeah.
yep, they're at the top of the bottom here. So
Alright.
next up we have another double boss.
Yeah.
And this one is it's like the exact opposite.
The double
it's
Dragon Rider.
It's very easy. It's
Yeah, and honestly, this boss, I don't see a point for it even being in the game.
I mean, these guys show up as regular enemies, especially in the Scholar of the First Sin version.
Yeah.
So just having two of them in
Yeah.
a room, and one
Especially
being
when
at
you're
half
more
health.
powerful.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the Dragon Rider in Hyde's Tower of Flame. That's a good Dragon Rider. It's
Yeah.
kind of
You
well
may be able to
placed.
cheat it, but this
Mhm.
one, it's just, they're slow. Like at this point, you probably
Mhm.
got rolling down, or at least some of the basic concepts,
Yeah,
and it's not even a challenge.
yeah, just not a very good idea to even have it in there.
Yeah.
So this one actually, Gabe, you killed this one so fast that I had to actually put it in twice. So we're gonna play it
Yeah.
twice in a row.
Yeah, the
Um,
Royal Rat Vanguard.
Not okay.
Not much
But
to
it's-
say about this fight. Easy to run to, not a challenging run up at all. Like, you still want a little challenge in your run up.
Yeah, but he
the
just
boss
two-shot the boss.
is
and
ridiculous.
Not okay.
It's meant to be an early fight, but face it, who goes down there at an early level?
Yeah,
You're
it's
gonna
also
come back here when you're a higher level.
yeah, and it's also in an area that you don't even need to go into. Like the area itself is totally optional, and the
Yeah.
Covenant attached to it makes it even more optional. So,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry,
I will
Lucia.
say, the Covenant used to be good, but nowadays there's just no point to fight
Yeah.
it because the Covenant's dead.
But the boss never was good.
Yeah.
So
Next up, I got strong
Yeah,
words against
85.
these guys.
yeah, Gabe, you
Alfred
fought these
Gargoyle.
guys, and
Oh.
these, these guys are one of the bosses that kind of embody what Dark Souls 2 is about.
Just
And
chaos and
chaos
difficult
numbers.
Yeah.
Apparently, like taking it slow, but still getting
Yeah.
wailed on in the process.
Yeah. The run up isn't horrible. I will say that it's a little annoying, but
Mhm.
other than that, it's just, to me, it's in Dark Souls 1, the Bell Gargoyles were done so well, and they tried to recreate it, but they didn't do well.
They totally failed. And
Yeah.
another thing that bothers me about this area specifically is that in the original Dark Souls 2, you kind of had a reason for coming here, and that you wanted the key to get into that got you into certain places within the Bastille. They
Oh,
took
yeah,
that
by the
out.
Scholar, yeah.
There's now no point to either the
Besides
Bellkeeper.
the New Game Plus to get the ring. Forget
That's
which
true.
ring it is, but
There is a decent ring, but other than that, there's no real reason to even come into this area, and the
Yeah.
boss certainly discourages it as well.
yeah, and like as I said, just in my opinion, they put too much gargoyles out at one time. Like maybe they should have done 2, or
Yeah.
wait at least to get one at half health before another comes up instead of just a time trial.
Yeah, it's just not a fun boss to fight in general.
No.
The thing I will say about this is I've seen this boss modded so that it's a different boss, and
Oh, yeah.
with like 6 different few nights or 6 different last times. That's entertaining, but this is just
Yeah.
not okay, not fun.
Boring fight too. Or
Alright,
next. What is
Aldia.
this?
Aldia Scholar of the First.
86.
And this is a really big shame, and that in Skull of the First Sin.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here let's get this down first. They knew Nishandra was a bad last boss, so they replaced it with Aldia, which is
Yeah.
a worse last boss.
Exactly.
And
His
it's
lore just kind of boring. He, in some regards, is easier than Nisandra, depending on how you fight her.
yeah,
And he's just a giant blob.
yeah, and I noticed as well that it's just kind of a tedious fight. Like you just had to wait for the fire to go away, and then you
Yeah.
had to. It takes very little damage, so you got to back up. Or you're not taking any damage because all his
Yeah.
attacks are easy to avoid.
He takes big damage when his fire's out, but his fire's out not much, and it
Yeah.
teleports far away like that. You don't do much.
His design is kind of interesting, a
Yeah.
little bit. It's definitely not doesn't really fit within the mold of the Dark Souls design, but that doesn't add anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a head that pops out of the ground.
No, like, and it shows that it's not even that challenging when on this run right here that you're watching, I went through the Defender, the Watcher, Nasandra, and him, and didn't even run out of Estus.
Yeah, all
Right.
all in one run, all without leaving the boss room, and
Yeah,
you still
no
have
Estus.
tons of Estus,
Yeah.
tons of life gems.
It's kind of just what's
It's
the point
sad,
of it?
really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Then of course I whiffed twice.
Yeah, there's two good things I will say about him. One, he's an
Right.
optional boss, so you don't actually have to fight
that's
him.
true.
And two, whenever you have to do his quest line, which is basically lighting a bonfire, then him exploding. We both got
Yeah.
jump scared multiple times by that,
Oh yeah.
and it's
Every
very
time I forget
entertaining.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't change anything about the boss.
Yeah. Also, these orbs are just super easy to avoid.
You're just
look,
walking
I'm just
around.
weaving through them.
Yeah.
Like, why make a boss that's not really even a challenge for the last boss? Except that you're an idiot standing in his fire like.
Yeah, I saw that.
But it's just they had Nasandra. They saw it wasn't the greatest last boss. They replaced it with this. It's kind of ridiculous.
It just bothers me.
Yeah. The run up, virtually nothing. It's a little annoying. That's just a super long pathway.
Yeah,
It
it's
could've
just
been shorter.
walk down the path. But
Yeah. I suppose you do have good summons if you do their quest line.
Well,
like
what I noticed, I've summoned the people for this in the past. I've actually summoned them for the Throne Watchers and had them survive to all the.
Yeah.
The summons actually do die really, really quickly to
they die
Aldia
to Aldia
because of the
They'll just
fire.
stand in
They'll
his
just
fire.
they'll
Yeah.
just walk up to him. So that's an
Um,
AI problem, not his problem. But
One thing that I do like about him, since he's very strong against all types of magics, it does try to force you to use physical, which some people who are magic builds could find annoying, but
Ooh.
explosion. Yeah, I got greedy.
yeah, see
um,
that.
Yeah, but
just-
again, he's just bland, like lore-wise, not much going for him. But there is some lore, but it's, be honest, it's Dark Souls 2 lore. A lot of it is boring. Besides a few characters
definitely
that we'll get to.
deserves to be where he is.
Yeah,
So next one is everybody's favorite necromancer Pinwheel. Everybody
Good old
loves
Pinwheel.
Pinwheel.
the
Um,
hardest boss in the game.
The pitiful Pinwheel.
Yeah,
I
This
thought
one,
about doubling this
I
one too.
do have good parts. I do have good things about him.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of bosses on the low list. His lore is really good, where he was stealing Nito's power to revive his daughter and wife and ended up failing, and now the father carries him on his back.
Uh,
and
like
Nito keeps
he's just
serving.
he's just too easy to be redeemed
Yeah.
from any
Nah.
of his good attributes.
Also, giant dads. Am I
Giant dad. Okay, giant dads. So
right? Alright,
88.
next,
Bed of
Bed of
Chaos. A lot of people will say that this is their least favorite boss.
This is
it's
one of
kind
Miyazaki's least favorite bosses he's made, which is saying something.
The-
The creator of the game doesn't even like this thing.
Yeah, and that's of Dark Souls 1 and 3.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have
And
many opinions.
Miyazaki has said himself that this is the area running up is the worst area he's ever made. Which
So
I
worst
agree
boss
with.
in the worst in one of the worst areas.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a very gimmicky boss that wasn't executed very well. And then to speak of the cheese.
The cheese. Well,
is
there's
ridiculous.
multiple cheeses. I feel like.
Yeah.
But
There's the most common one that I use mostly every time, because why not? Of shooting that, quitting to the main menu, going down again, running to the other side, quitting, and just running down the middle, and you're good. The fun way to do this is the parkour. That actually makes this boss decently fun, I will
Yeah.
say.
like I managed
But-
to pull off pretty good parkour right here. Later, I don't get so lucky, but yeah, I say the one if you had to do a redeeming factor for this boss, it's that
It's lore.
it's well yeah lore and it's unique. Like I'm not talking
Yeah.
about its move style, which its move
kind
style
of
is unique
like-
negatively, but
It's definitely like inspired by what's his name? Guy who wrote Cthulhu. Why can't I remember his name right now?
Lovecraft. Yeah, Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's definitely inspired by Lovecraft. You could tell. So it's an interesting like
Mhm.
boss design.
Very very unique design, but
Yeah.
the design makes it worse, like its attacks and everything. Now,
Yeah.
watch closely to what happens. This, not right here, but this closely pretty much sums up this boss. I feel like.
Mm. Oh. Yep.
Yep.
What are you gonna do about that? Not
Eh.
much.
And so I had to restart, walk all the way there. Not a
Restart.
fun run.
Now you just run down the middle, which is
Mhm.
easier said than done. Because
Yeah. You had to wait here for this, and then
Yeah.
get hit by that because I'm stupid.
But we'll
Mhm.
get to her lore later with different bosses, but her lore, that is my favorite thing about her. Just the Witches of Chaos, they have a
Mhm.
really good Dark Souls lore that kind of sums up the story of Dark Souls.
And
Uh,
one final
This
bit
part
about
is kinda
this.
just depressing.
One final bit about this: any boss that you can naturally one shot with without having a certain build, not a good boss, and that is actually proved by
Yeah.
our next competitor. And this
Oh, yeah.
this is the lowest one for Dark Souls 3,
Yeah.
Ancient Wyvern.
The Ancient Wyvern. This boss is just, it's boring.
Oh,
Like, it's
we
just
did-
you're sprinting through an area that you feel rushed because of the music.
yeah, the music's like,
like-
go, move,
Yeah.
go faster.
There's like, it's just a boring boss in my opinion. The like Wyvern later in this area is so much better,
Mhm.
like fun to actually fight. Where this one is just nah.
Yeah, like
Good.
the wyvern doesn't even act like a boss, or it barely even acts like an enemy. It acts like an obstacle,
Yeah.
pretty much. That you just have to, like the ballista
Run around.
in where is it?
And also, coming up,
Fiery place.
this part is my least favorite part of this run.
Yeah, you see that big
stupid
snake guy?
Axe on a chain. I have died so many times just to him alone.
Mhm.
It irritates me every time.
And then another thing about this boss is you do one hit plunge attack him, and that's
Yeah.
kind of a redeeming factor in that it makes you feel cool. Like, you know, you're one-shotting a dragon in the head. That's cool.
Yeah,
But at the same
if you
time-
miss, you want to die.
Yeah, like the hitbox on it can oftentimes be a little wonky, and
Yeah.
it causes a lot of issues. I managed to learn how to hit it pretty precisely,
Yeah.
but
Whereas me, I miss a lot. Joel can tell you.
Q
It-
Phantom.
It's quite sad. Yeah.
But yeah, not a good boss. It's a pity that Dark
No.
Souls 3 had a boss that bad.
Yeah.
So,
Next.
90, everyone's favorite tub of lard.
The Covetous Demon.
Yes, Covetous
Jabba the
Demon.
Hutt himself.
So this
Um,
is an interesting thing about this fight is that you can knock
Yeah.
the people down.
You can shoot the people down, and while he's going to munch on them, you can smack him unless you miss him, like I always do. One thing, when he's eating, he's taking half health, but the whole run up, like as you shoot a far one that's far away from him, that's all the time to do damage fully on him.
Yeah. At the same
Like
time,
here,
it's
he's
not
right
always
after me,
worth
I
it
shoot
because
my arrow, don't have to worry about him because he's so slow.
yeah. But at the same time, you just barely managed to dodge, so you could get hit by that. But even if you do
Yeah.
get hit, this guy can't kill you fast enough. Like
Yeah.
you just die. Or
One
no.
interesting thing about him, if he grabs you, his grab attack, he sticks you in his mouth and takes off all your armor.
Yeah, that's
So-
interesting. But
Yeah.
he's too slow, and his attacks are too kind of low damaging to have him any higher. Okay, so this is
Alright,
the worst
next up.
boss in all of Dark Souls.
I didn't even want to count it as a boss, honestly. I got hit a few times, but that's because I didn't even care.
Yeah,
The
you,
Prowling Magus and the Congregation.
this
What is
this
there to say about
boss.
this boss that isn't self-explanatory? It's awful.
Mhm.
It's just a few easy to kill enemies in a decently sized room.
Yeah.
Like,
This is just
not much.
this is probably the worst example of, well, this is the worst example of what Dark Souls 2 has to offer.
yeah.
And in fact, I'd even say that it's the worst that any Souls game has to offer. Well, with that, our first episode is done. We hope to see you again, and see you later.